Hello everyone, I'm Zahid from Talks at Innovation Valley, and today we have very amazing guest with us, Ekaterina. Ekaterina is a program manager for the data science program at Constructor Learning. She has a bachelor and master's in applied mathematics and informatics and PhD in computational fluid dynamics. She wanted to switch from academia to industry and did it after the course at Propulsion, now Constructor, and fell in love with the data science, what she tries to also develop in the students now. So, first of all, I really warm welcome you, Ekaterina.
Thank you so much, Zahid, for introduction. I'm happy to be here and share what I know about the data science. Thanks a lot for invitation.
You are welcome. Ekaterina, before we jump to the topic and questions, I would love my audience to know about your story. I mean, how from where you got your schooling and education, how you got to the industry, and then how you got to this, data science. I mean, a program manager job, and how was your this amazing entrepreneurial and inspirational journey?
Sure. So, as you already said, I did my bachelor's and master's in applied mathematics, and I liked mathematics always. And then I did the PhD in computational fluid dynamics, where I learned a lot of efficient computational techniques and solved the problems of physics and mathematics with computers. And also we learned a bit on how to program, this parallel computing in GPU. So I was always fascinated by science. And yes, we produced a lot of data with our research. Then I moved to Switzerland. I wanted to switch from academia to industry. Then I found the data science course at Propulsion Academy, and I liked it a lot. And I think I was after the course kind of I thought I was born data scientist and just discovered it at the age of 30. And then I stayed on as a teaching assistant, helping students, helping teachers to run the course. Then as a data science consultant, so working on different industry projects, and then as a data science program manager. So what I'm doing now is I'm accompanying students from the very beginning when they enter the school until the end. I'm looking for different industry connections, industry projects. I'm supervising these projects. I'm teaching Python, deep learning, and like API scraping techniques, and doing different workshops, mentoring in hackathons, and promoting the technology and data science here in Switzerland. And yeah, that's maybe yeah all about me.
Wow, amazing journey, Ekaterina. So happy to know that. So, audience, today our topic is very, very interesting. I guess you already guessed the topic. The topic is data science, scope, and application in multiple industries. Very important and interesting topic. So, Ekaterina, my first question, can you please provide an overview of data science and its scope in today's industries?
Of course, that's mostly my job related to data science, and very well as a program manager. I interact a lot with industry, with startups here in Switzerland, and not only actually also in United States, and with the bigger companies. And yes, so data has become an important part of our lives, and it influences our decisions and interactions in a lot of ways. Where like we want to make this travel reservation or post a photo in Instagram or like a tweet in Twitter, conduct financial transactions. So data is generated and accumulated everywhere. So the scope of data science is expansive. It's huge within industry boundaries, and from healthcare to finance, from marketing to transportation, education, social science, city administration. Basically, every sector benefits from data science applications. It is probably the most interdisciplinary field, and it has such a huge area of applicability and opportunities nowadays. And like the volume and complexity of data, they continue to grow exponentially, and the field of data science is ready for even more significant advancements. And yeah, and I think data scientists will continue to play a huge role in unraveling the hidden potential within data, within different industries, driving innovation, shaping the future, yeah, in the whole world basically. And also, of course, the recent advancements of generative AI, such as ChatGPT and also image generation techniques, open the whole new area where people can actually employ these techniques in creativity or art creation, music creation, text generation, and of course, and also this is well-known techniques, right? And but there are other large language models out there which you can download and train yourself, tuning to your data, and is unlimited potential, I would say, in a lot of industries.
Exactly. So, Ekaterina, how has data science evolved over the years, and what major advancements have contributed to its growth until now?
That's an interesting question because, of course, it didn't appear out of nowhere. It appeared of the need of society for data, and of course, it's experienced significant evolution and grow over the years. And a lot of different technological advancements led to this growth, increased data availability, a lot of labeled data, and expanding applications. And for example, if you take the concept of neural networks, or more precisely, this artificial neuron, it was suggested by McCulloch and Pitts, who were logician and neuroscientist, in 1943. So it was in the middle of past century, and they thought, like, why, if animal brain can process the information, why machine cannot do it, and that's how the concept of artificial neuron appeared, and followed by mathematical implementation by Rosenblatt, who created the first model and prototype of the machine, which he said will be able to talk, walk, reproduce itself. And it happened in 50s, last century, followed by, the next decade. It's emergent data analysis and statistical modeling, and the first experiment with computers to analyze and process the data. While in 80s, there was a rise of machine learning and data mining and development of different of relational databases, so it was already possible with SQL, which is a structured query language, to efficiently manage the data. And then later on, it was already the internet, began to be like the rise of internet, where it led to generation of a lot of labeled data, provided new opportunities. People share this data, and until is was already advancements in software and hardware. So it was GPU, the parallel computing, which we use for simple arithmetic operation, which is necessary for advancements in neural networks. And yeah, it's basically, and recently, in 10 years ago, kind of, okay, 15 years ago, the main part, like the main interesting part, started with this decade of it's heavily shifted towards machine learning and predictive analytics in 2010s, and then availability of the powerful computers and the machine learning techniques, the neural networks. They were kind of had a lot of data, like you can feed, they could develop by the seeing a lot of label data, and again these machines, powerful computers. And it was actually the moment where the AI article by the Harvard Business Review appeared, which called data science the sexiest job of 21st century. And it happened then when we saw this huge jump, but nowadays, of course, we have this generative AI, and I think it's the next huge milestone, in the history of data science. This will reveal to us a lot of other different opportunities. And yeah, of course, now we also care about ethical considerations, and yeah, there's a lot of other advancements. And what contributed to this, as I said, is big data availability, it's advanced analytics, advanced techniques, the deep neural networks, for example, and the different architecture, the optimization algorithms, and open source, of course, because like Python and R, now community can really work with this interest in machine learning techniques and can produce valuable results. Cloud computing, and which can store, which can help to process, this data. Artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques, they developed a lot, including this, auto ML, which can just like you just throw the data in it and it can produce you nice results. And collaboration within disciplines like different sectors of industry, with statisticians and mathematicians. So it's not only scientists developing something; it's already the data science become useful for industries, and this is important because it got a lot of funding as well, and not only research but the practical application, and of course ethical considerations because we know that data science can be used only and of course in the society where every group is represented, where no one is, stayed out of working capabilities of machine learning. And so basically that was the key factors, I think.
All right. So, Ekaterina, what are some key applications of data science in various industries and how they are benefiting from it? Can you please add some more examples and substantiate your previous conversation?
Sure. So the key, you said key applications of data science in various industries, right?
Yeah.
This I already kind of mentioned that healthcare, finance, marketing, transportation, different other techniques, they definitely benefit from the data science applications. So as I said, as a program manager for data science program, I deal a lot with different industries, and almost everyone can benefit. But let me share some examples. And I say in healthcare, right? So in healthcare, data scientists, what they do, they can leverage, electronic health records, different information from sensors, and the clinical trials, and medical imaging, for example, MRI classification or MRI images. And in this, if you take these MRI images and we compare them, we can actually, with data science and image recognition, we can say which person has a malignant tumor, which person doesn't have a tumor, which tumor is benign. You can distinguish these things, and it's amazing. And when I studied in propulsion, and in my batch there was a girl who created the startup after the course, the startup on IVF, which is in vitro fertilization, when it's like artificial fertilization of the woman, basically. And she said that this is already possible to detect if the embryo, the embryo in this solution, if they survive while transplanting into a woman, basically. So also these things are possible, to predict the survival rate of the embryos with the in vitro is amazing. And financial industry, of course, it's fraud detection, it's risk assessment, it's algorithmic trading, and let's say the time series prediction, where a company tried to predict, for example, the amount of turnover for merchants. We worked as a capstone project for our students. So we have a course and 2 months. It's education, and the last step is the project with industry, so that students feel more comfortable entering the field. And one of these projects was with the SIX. It's a big financial group here in Switzerland. I mean, in Europe in general. I'm not so sure about United States. And they provided us project. So this is financial industry, right? For the merchant cleaning and enrichment of metadata. And also another project was for time series forecasting of the turnover for the specific merchants. And we got the list of 2,000 merchants for each of them we could predict, the next month or next year, forecast the revenue. And in marketing, data science can enable targeted advertising, customer segmentation, for example, sentiment analysis. And we had this project with Rolos, who in turn they had their clients were the football club, Manchester United football club. And for them, it was interesting to analyze the fan base of this football club. And we were able, like our students, they were able to understand, okay, so is the specific person, kind of a family guy who enjoy watching the football match on the couch with the beer, so they can advertise something related. And or is this the person, the core fan base, who is going to every match, and for this person maybe the different advertisement strategy can be applied, so this kind of examples. And yeah, another nice example is optimization of transportation routes,
Mhm.
predicting, yeah, maintenance needs. So for example, if you know that you have machines that clean in the city, right, and with data science, you can predict on which day you will see more liters and what types of liters on the streets, right? And you can accordingly, you can adjust your route of this cleaning machine so that you clean more efficiently. So you, for example, maybe you don't need 10 machines because it's money, right? You always invest something in cleaning, and you say, okay, it's not 10 machines, maybe I need only two. Then it's just they don't do unnecessary work, and they're predicting the best route for cleaning the most dirty streets. So this kind of examples, and I have, of course, many more of them.
All right, so interesting. I mean, you are really enriched on your, on your subject. So happy for that. So, Ekaterina, what are the main challenges faced by organizations when it comes to the integrating data science into their operations, systems, processes?
This is a very important question, Zahid, and thank you for asking this. And um, I really think this is important because the companies, they might struggle incorporating the data science into their operations, and of course there might be different reasons, and yeah, and the challenges, like the challenges are this data quality and accessibility. It's not always easy to get this data, skill gap, and data acquisition, and talent acquisition. So it's basically data science requires these specialized skills in areas such as statistics, machine learning, programming, domain expertise. And find a person who is good in all of these disciplines might be not so easy. And organizations may face challenges in hiring and retraining these data science talents. So what they can do, again, they need to invest, right, this time and money into upskilling their own employees, or partnering with external experts, or maybe hiring some, yeah, juniors and developing in their uh, investing in their development. So this is the huge topic also, and we are heavily focused on this area. We train individuals who understand how important it is, and like they can influence the future and be part of the latest achievements. And I'm super proud of this and excited when I see the results of our students and when we meet and they talk about their careers in data science, and this is really rewarding. So what are the other challenges? It's infrastructure and technology. It's organizational culture and collaboration, ethical and legal considerations, and revenue over investment. And if we talk about infrastructure and technology, so we need to think that, and we need to understand that implementing data science initiatives, it requires a good infrastructure, advanced technologies. You just don't, you don't take the data out of nowhere. It's just like you have a clean, nice data. You always need to think in advance, what is your business problem, what data will be the most suitable for this, and how can I maintain this data pipeline, how I organize this warehouse. This is important. And it takes time. I mean, it takes time to actually incorporate this knowledge into your culture. You should hire data engineers, data scientists, and it takes investment and money. Also, you need to, this, like, okay, imagine you hire the senior data scientist and he wants to organize the nice infrastructure, the data engineering part, and let's say he can provide you nice analysis which can help you to I mean, like save time or get more revenue. But what is next? This data scientist needs to work with the other colleagues in your team, and he needs to explain, okay, I need this data. So maybe these software engineers, they need to implement specific feature on the website. So it takes, I mean, it might take up to 1 year to develop this culture in organization. And it's again time, right? But this is important, and this is the process of evolution. And nowadays, with the era of technical advancements, it is inevitable, and the companies who implement it first will see the value first. It takes time, it takes some money, it takes investment, of course. These are, of course, the obstacles, but then soon, the most of the companies they will switch to this kind of mindset, and the ones who do it first, of course, they will benefit first, as I said. And yeah, so the data science can increase the revenue, can save time, which in the end also converge to revenue and can help improve efficiency of all processes within the company. And yeah, I'm actually quite satisfied and positively surprised with the situation in Switzerland. And the startups we are working with, the companies we are working with, they are open. They really want to innovate, and they understand. I mean, they understand, most of them, they understand how they can benefit from data science. The ones who don't understand, they can always, yeah, um, ask. And if they
All
open.
right.
Mhm.
All right. So, Ekaterina, how can businesses, especially small and medium level businesses and startups, leverage data science to gain a competitive advantage in their respective industries with minimum resources?
With minimum resources. It's interesting. I think it's always demands some resources, but yeah, of course, this data-driven decision making, right? This data-driven decision making, where, for example, I'm a small business, right? Let's say I'm a doctor who wants to open the next praxis somewhere in the city. So how should I approach this problem, right? So I need to understand, where should I open the next store? Where should I open the next praxis? Should I go to family neighborhood if I'm a pediatrician, or should I go to place where old people live, right? And if I'm a doctor and I'm a pediatrician, then if I go to this old neighborhood, I probably will not be that successful, right? So the small enterprise should think, like, should switch towards this data driven decision making mindset. This is the first step, I would say, and it's very important. And then apply predictive analytics and let's say predicted turnover of specific merchants, so that we can maybe understand how can we invest in this specific merchant. Or let's say understand your crowd, so to apply this customer segmentation or personalization techniques. For example, provide personal advice to customers who decided to use your services, and developing chatbots that are very personalized. And of course, there's also important operational efficiency and cost optimization. So for example, for supply chain, it's important. Let's say I'm the company and I have specific, I'm a merchant and I have specific goods to supply for different stores. And I always need to know, that, okay, that for specific store, if I need for the Halloween more pumpkins or candies, is also important, because you don't want to over represent some of the products and just, yeah, forget about the rest. And also for banks, it's risk management and fraud detection, right? And it's always, let's say if I'm a bank and I see that someone is buying first class tickets in totally different place where it used to buy these tickets, and does it mean fraud, or is just person, once a year it goes to Maldives, or like recently, imagine there was a situation that recently one bank, I would not name it, couldn't detect the withdrawal of $30 10 times a day in 10 days as a fraud. Would you trust this bank? So these things, they are important. And the businesses can leverage the data by applying these techniques. So as I said, data-driven decision-making mindset, predictive analytics, segmentation, cost optimization, risk management, fraud detection, and yeah, maybe competitive intelligence in general.
All right. So, Ekaterina, what skill sets and knowledge do you think are essential for aspiring data scientists to succeed in today's job market, keeping in view the, advancements in technology and industry trends?
Yes, that's also a good question. And of course, I mean, data science is the broad discipline, and as a broadly, yeah, data science can be considered as an intersection between computer science, right, mathematics, statistics, and domain knowledge. You can focus on one of these disciplines a bit more, but in general, you need the combination, right? So, mathematics, statistics, computer science, domain knowledge. But of course, data science cover more skills than these three, and there's much more to data science in general. And there are technical skills, there are soft skills, like hard and soft skills. So from hard skills, as I've said, it's like computer science and math, which includes this data mining. So you can apply, for example, web scraping or API access, right? You need to know how it operates, programming, statistics, visualization. You need to know how to visualize your insights properly, because otherwise, how would you convince people to trust you? Like, of course, you have data which never lie, but with images, we are more convinced, so that you need to know how to do these nice visualizations, then the knowledge of databases, because without database you get no data to analyze, and data engineering, big data, so how to maybe use GPU or how to store your data on the cloud, and data processes, I mean pipelines from end to end, machine learning, and computer vision, experimental design, which is, if you're only one data scientist in a company, then you need to know how to design your experiment, what data you might need, what is like numerical, categorical, ordinal, how to use this data to, yeah, to apply for your work. So for example, sometimes 0 and 1 means the number, and sometimes it means the category. So you need to really distinguish between those two, because you will apply different techniques, and of course, communicating, presenting, and domain knowledge. And what I like the most, in which is not that obvious, is that companies nowadays, they need people who will be friendly, who is easy to deal with, who is easy to talk to, who's just basically who can cooperate, and yeah, is very important. And I understand why is this, because you really want to um, work on the problem and not to create another problem communicating with the person. So these are the skills, I would say.
All right. Ekaterina, data quality and transparency and transparent data governance is very, very important in the field of data science. But the question is, what strategies should organizations adopt to ensure the accuracy, quality, transparency, and reliability of the data?
That's also a very good question, and that's not really easy to answer. I mean, that's very, very important. As I said, there's data quality to ensure that all the categories are represented equally to like man, woman, or is like that, let's say the person of different skin color is detected properly on the image, is very important. And of course, it comes, the big problem is data here. And of course, we need to ensure the quality of data first. There are different strategies to actually to work with this. And first of all, I mean, sometimes you might really go manually through your data and try to understand what your data contains. I would not, I mean, there is a lot of optimization, of course, but I would not, exclude this approach, because this way you can really understand what's wrong with your data. So just, I mean, take a sample, see if it's makes sense or not. This might be one thing. And Of course, this data governance and data management practices need to be established to ensure the data quality and accessibility. And as for strategies, I would call, for example, you need to have like established data governance framework, which is you develop this comprehensive data governance framework that outlines the policy, the standards, and procedures for data management. So, for example, when you get the new data, it should go through this framework, and you need to understand that you're using what you agreed on to use. And so you need to define the roles and responsibilities for your employees and data ownership, who is responsible, and this kind of things are important. The data quality guidelines, this this is also, of course, important. Data quality assessment, so that, as I said, all categories are represented, that there's not so much missing data, for example, or there's a way to deal with this missing data. And the data imbalance, of course, you need to understand if your data imbalance, that means that when you model, you apply different techniques for imbalanced data sets. And what is also important, data security and privacy. And the security and privacy, um, actually here the synthetic data can help. It can be used based on modern techniques offered by generative AI. So we can create these synthetic data sets, and we are not, which the synthetic data sets, the main feature of these data sets is that it can represent the distribution of your original data, but it not necessarily it reflects your original data, but it doesn't repeat it 100%. So you have some, flexibility, and you're not exposing anything specific. Then, continuous improvement of this pipeline, review, refine data quality policies, assess how effective it is, and incorporate feedback of your clients or from stakeholders. Yeah, and these kind of things are, I think, is important.
All right. So, Ekaterina, in which industries do you see the greatest potential for future growth and innovation in data science? I know every sector and every company needs to apply the data science, but still, what are those top five or
Top
top
five.
three? Yeah, top
Okay.
five. Yeah, where the data
Okay.
science will be beneficial and the real potential will unfold.
Okay. Top five from my perspective. Again, as you said, mostly in all. But I think it's important in education. So we need trained individuals to maintain and develop the current systems. This is very important. So this one discipline, then the healthcare, the second discipline, or maybe even the first one, develop new medicine or synthetic proteins, or like helping diagnosis, analysis of the blood, whatever these applications, I think is very important, and where the data science can the healthcare can benefit a lot from these data science techniques. And I have a feeling we stand in front of completely new era of health improvements. And of course, I'm sure it will be possible. Finance and banking for this fraud detection, as I said, risk analytics, energy. Energy, so optimize energy generation and distribution, and forecast of demand of energy. Why is that? Because it is a challenge recently, and a lot of companies, even in hackathons, they provide this tackle this energy crisis challenge. This might be important. And imagine you want to like establish a power plant. It takes millions of dollars, and what is better, to fix it when it's broken and losing money and losing energy, or wait, or predict already in advance, seeing malfunction in behavior and stop it before it has fatal damage. So this I would say. And okay, the last one is, maybe e-commerce and manufacturing and supply chain. Also social media.
All right, all right. So,
Oh,
what?
one more. The generative AI. The generative AI, of course, it's a totally. Why I didn't cover it, because it's totally the new field. but it's enabling this use of generative AI and data science in art, which is new, which is really interesting. The art, movie making, the logotype development, the creation of different, I don't know, fairy tales with images, comic books, with completely artificial stories and images. So this is something that is, yeah, standing
Uh,
separately.
okay, okay. So now the next question is very interesting, Ekaterina. Um, what ethical considerations and concerns should be taken into account when working with data science in industries, and how companies can address these concerns and ethical challenges?
This is also a very good question, and I kind of highlighted in the previous answers a bit. But yeah, make sure that all categories of people, I mean, not only people, are represented, like men and women, children. As I said, different skin colors should not be a reason for the person not to be recognized on an image. This can be achieved by, again, I will repeat myself, by checking your data sets manually or with whatever techniques. And you need to check it for consistency, of course. And when you already start modeling, then different model explainability techniques can be applied, such as sharp, gradcam, or lime, or whatever suitable for the problem, and just basically try to see and understand what model is focused on. Is it predicting? Yeah, is it predicting based on some previous bias that you get in your data set, or it's predicting because it's properly developed data set, and that's what you get as prediction. So these ethical considerations should be taken into account. It's always check your data and always try to understand how exactly your data doing this prediction, and does it rely on the objective features, or does it rely on subjective features? Yeah, these
All
are.
right, all right. So, Ekaterina, what are some of the misconceptions about data science? I mean, I saw many times people mix up the things like the data science, the AI, machine learning. So, can you please define a little bit what actually is data science? What actually it includes? I mean,
Mhm.
is AI and ML part of the data science? Or, I mean, just clarify these all terminologies and
Mhm.
misconceptions.
That's a good question. Yeah, as you said, the data science, yeah, it has a lot of further division into different fields. Like, the data scientist can be understood as data engineer, can be understood as data scientist, data analyst, ML engineer, data scientist, AI enthusiast. These are different roles in data science that exist. And of course, with the rise of generative AI, there may be new roles like AI operator, prompt engineer. So the data science basically is the science where you can derive insights based on data. This is it. So every statement should be backed up by data. Every pattern that you found should be backed up by data. This is data science. And the other things are that, like, data engineer, he's doing all this data warehousing and infrastructure. The data analyst, they mostly dealing with dashboard and statistics, maybe not so much with machine learning. Data scientist, the person who actually used the data and who already might do some machine learning. And for example, ML engineering, also the person who can develop the algorithms, for example. And the artificial intelligence is the concept, or like research in artificial intelligence, are trying to mimic human behavior. So it can include data science in it. So, for example, the ChatGPT is the example of artificial intelligence, kind of, and because it's trying to mimic, question answer chatbot is artificial intelligence because it's trying to mimic the human. And but data science not necessarily mimicking human. Data science can be used for prediction, for finding the patterns, or saying, okay, the next best location for the store. But artificial intelligence is something that, yeah, like robots, chatbots, Siri is example of Google Assistant is example of artificial intelligence. So they should try to mimic human behavior, and of course they can use data science for it, but not necessarily. And this will be artificial intelligence, which yeah. So the other misconceptions which are relevant, it's the data itself. So that not every you cannot solve every problem with data. There might be, it's not always true that you can solve your problem with data. Sometimes, especially with the lack of data or the poor data quality, we might conclude that the result we get is not satisfactory. And this is okay. It means that there's no signal in your data and you cannot derive really a formula and a good formula. You cannot approximate your data very well. And so the misconception here would be that every problem can be solved with data, which is not. Then I would say also for the skills, not necessarily the person should know like by heart, all this linear algebra or yeah, because there's a lot of packages that doing it for you. You need to understand how to apply. You need to have analytical approach, but yeah, otherwise it's okay to not knowing in depth, let's say, this heavy mathematics stuff, which is applied in different packages in Python or R. And another funny misconception, is like that AI will take my job. And let's say a lot of people are scared. And I say it's not happening because like generative AI is not going to take the job of the specialist. It will either help us and accelerate the career and reduce the threshold for entering the field. And it will make our lives easier because the decision making and our vision is still the human's feature. So these are the things.
All right, very interesting. And I will come on the question that you mentioned. I mean, the fear of AI, that the AI will take every job. I will come to that question later. But right now, Ekaterina, since I was in education space previously, and now I am in the edtech space, education technology space. So I have deep interest in education and edtech industry. How do you think data science, what role data science could play to make learning, teaching, and education space better and purposeful? What roles data science could play?
Very good question. And of course, I think we are mostly talking about, these latest advancements like ChatGPT. And it can help in a lot of ways. So starting from being your like personal, I mean, open ChatGPT and just ask to explain in simple terms different complex things, right? And the complex concepts, and it will explain you really simply, and is very useful, I think, for students and for teachers as well to use this feature of ChatGPT. That's one thing. Then it can also help you to build actually your learning plan, or yeah, teach you how to code, even as basically giving you code examples. So these things are important. And also, so for education, um, yeah, I also wanted to mention something, but I forgot. Yeah, let's say it helps to learn also. One thing is, so I'm mostly talking about generative AI right here because it's kind of very useful. And can we start again? Can you repeat again? So for how data science can help for education, right? I cannot hear you actually.
Yeah, the question is actually how
Uh-huh.
data science can, add value to the education space. For example, to make the learning better, to make the teaching better, to make the education systems and processes better, how data science could bring innovation and innovative ideas to teach and bring innovative education to the industry.
Okay, innovative education to industry. Well, okay, there are different aspects of it, and I will start with generative AI. So basically, this generative AI can be very useful for teachers and for students, of course, explaining difficult concepts in simple terms. So, for example, you can ask ChatGPT to, let's say, can you explain to me this linear algebra in 10 different points? And it will say what is most important, what you need to know, or it can help you to prepare for the exams. And this is very helpful, of course. But also, not only this generative AI might help. I mean, if we incorporate data science in general, um, it can highlight, for example, the weakest points where the students, for example, need to train a bit more. If you analyze the marks of the students for the different disciplines, for example, right? And you can understand, okay, this field is doing slightly worse than the other. So you maybe want to increase the hours for the specific discipline, or you want to, yeah, the students to read more books on this topic, right? And this can be definitely helpful. So what else in education tech? There are different techniques. They also mostly with this advanced deep learning and neural networks based technologies. So for example, the interview training. And the interview training, there are some tools. I don't remember exactly the name, but this interview, I think it's kind of interview training developed by Google. So you basically can train for the personal interview on different topics. You can talk about yourself, and the model will basically record you, analyze what you said, and highlight, for example, the number of repetitions what you said. And usually, or it will analyze your language and how are you straight to the point answering the specific question. So these kind of techniques are already exist, and they're based on analyzing the video and transcribing it and analyzing the text. So this is useful. Personalized uh, personalized education program which might be used. And what else? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other things that you can think of.
All right. Very, very interesting insights, Ekaterina. Thank you so much for it. Ekaterina, last question. And it is very interesting. Many people say AI will take over, AI will replace every job, AI will take your job. So, what is your opinion on this fear and this fear based question?
That's a very cool question, and I'm sure AI is not going to take the jobs of like who's most scared, right? Is it junior software developers, junior maybe data scientists, and of course content creators. But you always can say, when the content is generated by ChatGPT is so obvious, and you cannot. It's repetitive, and the language. Okay, the language is nice, but still, you can see when the human writes something, you can see this personal touch, and you can express your opinion, you can express your feelings, and it's always so much different from what AI can produce. Of course, it produces you very logical, structured text, but sometimes it's hallucinating, right? It is producing some nonsense, or it invents some things which does not exist. So, for example, it can say it can even provide a reference which does not exist in the real world. So, for example, this phrase was said by the specific by the specific person in a specific conference. And if you Google, there is the conference, but this person never did a talk in this conference. So it can provide some lie as well. You cannot rely on the systems like this, and for this you always need the person who will check. So I think it's in general it performs really good, but it's still not perfect. And of course, this decision making, we use data to make these decisions. Of course, we use AI, or we use the different prediction machine learning to make this decision, but this decision is on us. And we always can say, okay, that the machine learning, they didn't consider this part of the task. and this is part is important, so I need to actually also take it into account. So the decision making is on us humans, and that's one thing. And I think it's an opposite. Well, I know that there are some examples already, who like some people wrote that in some comments in Instagram, this following this generative AI communities, and they say we fired our marketing manager because now we are more efficient with ChatGPT. I think it's nonsense, and they will regret about it very soon, because it can help. These technologies, they can of course increase increase the productivity and increase your efficiency in your daily tasks. And as the company owner, at the CEO, you would probably expect that you get more revenue, not less people. And this I think is, should be a priority, to focus on productivity and not on just replacing people with AI, which is still not at this level, of course. And and it has some disadvantages, right? So as I mentioned, it's hallucinating. It can lie, it can provide the information which never existed. It can provide the facts which never happened. So will you trust this kind of a system? Probably not. You can use it for help, but you always need to double check. And definitely not happening in the near future.
Right. So, Ekaterina, before you go, um, first of all, let me tell you, trust me, it was really insightful. But before you go, I would request you to give one inspiring message to the audience of my podcast, which is, potential entrepreneurs, university students, and educators, and also the startup community. Any inspiring message that could change their life.
Inspiring message that will change their lives. Um, Let me think. So, never stop learning. I would say this is important because the technologies are moving fast, and we need to catch up always. So, never stop learning, because the only time is now. And there is always the right moment. Of course, you can catch up later, but there's usually the right moment, and that you need to definitely consider. And I don't know how much is it inspiring or not, but when there was Corona time, I got Corona and long COVID, and I couldn't even move normally, walk without my husband for 3 months. And I got like this severe long COVID consequences. And what important message I not the message, but like important message I can deliver after this experience, that indeed there is the right moment is now, and you need to actually grab this moment and start, I don't know, education, start working, start doing something interesting, what you always wanted to do now, because later it might be not always possible. I don't know. And the life, and don't be afraid, because this is the worst thing, to be afraid. This imposter syndrome, I mean, all people should definitely get rid of it, because it stops you from such a fun parts of life. It stops you from progressing in your career, it stops you from enjoying your life. And you just, I mean, if you, and it's after some experience in the specific field, it will go away. But it's really, um how to say that, the people who try to focus on what they are doing and not on this imposter syndrome, I think they benefit the most. And it's just don't forget, just forget about your fear, start doing something. And even if you're afraid, still don't fall into this trap of the fear, and just continue doing stuff. And if you think, okay, this, data science, artificial intelligence is too difficult for me, well, you never know until you try. So just try. and see. Just try these opportunities and yeah, and don't stop easily, let's say.
All right.